What are some huge green flags that are often overlooked? They give credit where credit is due, even if it means that they're losing it little luster reputation-wise by doing that instead of lying about fake accomplishments. Yeah, they also give credit card details, complimenting others behind their backs. Hey, do y'all know this guy called Noeasy? I heard he's pretty great at complimenting people, but not nearly as good as this guy called the Encrypt. I heard he's an absolute legend for complimenting people who compliment other people. Literally, just being able to say, "I'm sorry, that won't happen again," without a trace of sarcasm, or just honestly knowing and admitting they were wrong, and willing to learn from it. So much rarer than you'd think. Being able to admit they were wrong or made a mistake. "I think you're wrong. Did I do it right?" "No, I'm always right, bro. Fuck you, fight me." Being able to de-escalate is a huge green flag. Or more applicably, when one partner has a problem, the other, well, both, are able to have a constructive discussion that comes from a place of love and attempts to understand each other, instead of being defensive or escalating from the jump. My husband is really good at that, and I try to thank him every time he does this because it really makes me feel heard, loved, and respected. I try to do the same for "Hi, monsieur." Remembering little thing you mention, especially if it's something important to you. That they listen to you. "What was that again?" "Sorry, I did not hear you." "He said he wants French fries." Empathy and accepting own errors. Buying little snacks that you love when you don't mention to get them, or making food a certain way so you'll enjoy it more. Super sweet and nice. Brazil's flag is pretty dope. Respecting you. Respecting you when you say no or change your mind about doing something sexual, and never trying to manipulate you or make you feel bad about saying no. The fact that this is seen as a green flag and not a basic part of human behavior is really sad. Emo. I get sidelined occasionally when my boyfriend and I hang out with his friends. I'm not super upset about it, they're my friends too. But my boyfriend has been friends with them for over a decade now. So, sometimes I'm left out of conversations, made the odd man out when a split-screen game gets put on, has his movie recommendation overruled, etc. There's one friend, unfortunately they don't hang out with us all that much, who makes sure that that happens as infrequently as possible. He always makes sure that I feel included, like I'm part of the group. He includes me in conversations, listens to what I have to say, seconds my recommendations for movies, TV, and occasionally volunteers to sit the first round of a game out so I can play. When the rest of the group is talking amongst themselves, he and I will have a little side conversation. It's such a kind gesture, and I know it's something of a conscious effort on his part, and I notice it every time. It really speaks to his character. If you're someone who takes the time to make sure that everyone in a group feels like part of the group, you're a good person. I strive to be this person, to make even the slightest bit of effort to involve people if they're receptive and cool. I am so impressed when people have a genuine consideration rather than petty exclusion. Ability to be a good listener, validating feelings. When she or he says things like, "I am proud of you." A green flag is something that is unsolicited and builds you up. Most people, especially young people, don't even recognize that. They just enjoy feeling good when it's said. When you can work with your so like you would coworker or friend. Ignore those gender roles. Some guys treat girls as fragile beings unable to lift a shovel. We have 2 shovels because if there's snow in our driveway, you bet your butt that we will both be out there. A relationship should be a partnership built on respect and mutual hard work. If you don't lift that shovel, you better be throwing down the salt. We have been together 6 years and just got married this past weekend. How well people treat wait staff. My hubby is always nice and tips well, but he thinks I am too nice. I make friends with the wait staff to the point that they stay around the table while we eat and have full conversations. He gets a little annoyed about it sometimes. former barkeeper, beer mug wrangler here. To be honest, I appreciated small talk if it was a slow day. But when there are 10 other thirsty customers, please don't stop me for random small talk. A small subconscious smile when they look at you. When they continue to take moments to just look at your face. Especially after months, years of dating. After infatuation passed, it would annoy me to no end when my current partner would stare at me. I think this was because I either knew that we no longer felt the same, or because I felt guilt for another reason at the time. But after years of dating and a handful of failed relationships, I've understood the desire to just gaze at the person you love and appreciate that they're in your life, and can now finally recognize that I'm with someone who genuinely wants to be in my life. They make sure to include everyone in the conversation and will go out of their way to integrate new people. If someone walks up, she texts you first, sometimes even if she doesn't need anything from you at the moment. Wait, you guys are getting texts from girls? Wait, you guys get texts only from Domino's smiley face. Validating your feelings and be willing to calmly talk things out. Always. I think those are some pretty fair standards. I hope you find your special someone. You, a literal anus. Taking care of ailing family members. My husband dropped his job and moved in with his mom and dad to take care of his dad when his dad had a brain aneurysm. Monsieur, this is the best man I could ever find and I don't deserve hi monsieur. For him, I protect, I attack and I make him SNACC. Instinctually trusted by animals. What if I try my best to be a good person but dogs don't like me anyways? Keep tater tots in your pockets. Puts the card away at the grocery store. Is kind to service people. Thinking back on my relationships and what I didn't do. Self-reflection or introspection. Re-examining your actions, feelings and taking actions to improve yourself, your relationships. To apologize. Genuine kindness, often mistaken for weakness or subservience. Everyone thinks they can push me around until I just leave. I would say being open and excited to learn rather than pretending they already knew something. Even and especially if they're more educated than you. Also, in relationships, being willing to hear your feelings and have a mature conversation about the future without making the other person feel like they're jumping the gun. My boyfriend is the first partner I've been with to do this and it's amazing. Little conscientious things like opening a door for you, waiting for you to catch up if they get ahead of you, apologizing for their phone going off then putting it on silent. I've found that the best relationships start with a "how are you" and the worst start out with my boyfriend invites me everywhere with "hi monsieur," doesn't matter what it is. He checks to see if I want to come. He has no idea how much this means to me. He's not doing it just to be polite, he just genuinely wants me around. It's nice to be wanted. As a guy, a huge green flag would be when a woman doesn't put unrealistic expectations of manliness on me. For instance, not judging me if I am vulnerable and weak sometimes. Not expecting me to man up in every situation. Just having realistic expectations of me as the flawed human being that I am, monsieur. Being a good tipper. Yeah, this or being nice to workers in the service industry like waiters, receptionists, etc. I read this is good stripper for some reason XD. She listens and understands. And E. Stopping you in a conversation asking you to repeat what you said. Shows the person is actually hearing you and trying to understand. It's heartbreaking when you realize that you've spoken for 30s to someone that neither listens or cares to listen. When disagreements don't turn into arguments. Remembering things you said a long time ago. As someone who dates someone like this, I can tell you this has positive and negative consequences. That can cut both ways if stuff from ages ago is brought up during arguments. When there would be an opportunity to say "I told you so," and they don't. Others have already said about admitting mistakes, apologizing for them, and crediting others, and being polite to retail and restaurant staff. A slightly harder to gauge point is self-awareness. That they made a nice gesture, i.e. gift, that was clearly done with you on their mind. So, not just a generic bunch of flowers, unless you were actually into those, but a thoughtful gift that shows effort was put into making the gift, and that they remember little things about you. When they have a good sense of humor, but not a racist one. Communication by respecting each other's boundaries and telling each other their comforts and dislikes. If you get to know where each person stands, then you can form a stronger bond without getting into issues. I've seen many of my friends' relationships fall apart because they had differing beliefs, but never communicated about meeting in the middle or where their boundaries were. A guy who treats his mother with respect. Every single time I criticize myself for failure, my so reframes it in a positive way. She's so supportive of everything I do when I'm determined to do something to better myself. Remembering small things about you. 3 months ago they mentioned they liked salmon sushi once, and then they get taken out to a sushi bar on their date night. That is a good thing. Listening not only to react, but to recall and learn. Opening doors for random strangers just because we happen to get there first. There's probably at least one outside every Pakistani embassy. Reading the comments and realizing you have a lot of green flags. I think I've checked almost everything as well. If only I could meet someone that didn't want to play games. Single quote. Accountability. Appreciating more than criticizing. Saying thank you every time your partner does something for you. Respecting your alone time and not demanding for too much attention, especially when you have to do something important. I honestly thought this was gonna be about people's favorite flags that include the color green. Boy, do I feel dumb. For the record, Brazil's is fantastic. Edited. Repetition. I didn't think of that. You're right, and I see where you're coming from. But I think you're missing this. Quote. Respecting your boundaries. Respecting your time. Genuine interest on your well-being. Having conversations about their feelings without making it an argument. Healthy communication. Doesn't try to make you jealous, and you don't have to worry about what do you mean for them. Asking you first if you're comfortable with doing something they want to do. Respecting your opinion, beliefs, point of view even when it's not the same as theirs. Wanna grow with you. Don't try to manipulate you. Encourage you to follow your dreams. Isn't afraid of showing you off. Tell other people they're with you. If they make a mistake, they admit their responsibility and do better to avoid making the same mistake again. Both of you know where you are and what you want, have similar core values. They trust you and you trust them. They don't isolate you from your friends and family. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.